Chapter 637, The Future. Are you done with your preparations? Colin had his back to the window as he asked without any abnormality in his tone. With the axe of Hurricane attached to him, Derek lowered his head slightly. I'm done. In the past 2 months, through the patrol missions and arduous practice, he had fully mastered the various Beyonder powers of Solar High Priest. He was already not too far from digesting the potion. What he wished for the most was to obtain the Sun Pathways Sequence 6 potion formula in the next 2 to 3 tarot gatherings, so as to ensure his continual advancement. The release of Shepherd Lovia made him feel highly threatened. He believed that only by reaching the same Sequence 5 would he have a chance of effectively putting her in check and avert the potential danger of the City of Silver. However, with the knowledge of the acting method, and without the lack of Beyonder ingredients, all he needed to do was survive the various patrols and exploration missions and make enough contributions to make Sequence 6 a reachable target. However, Sequence 5 required a specific ritual, which made it relatively difficult. The grizzled Colin nodded. In another 2 days, I'll be leading a small team to the vicinity of the Giant King's court. We will do a second sweep of Afternoon Town, which we previously found, and your powers are very suitable for such matters. Afternoon Town. Having been brushing up on his knowledge of legends over the past few months, Derek was no stranger to this name. It was an area that needed to be passed when going to the Giant King's court from the Kingdom of Silver. It was a town where humans and giants lived together. It clustered around the ancient god's residence, which was forever fixed at sunset, just like the last door that separated the real world to a mythological legend. Yes, Your Excellency, Derek couldn't find a reason to reject. City of White Nuz, in a particular inn. Klein sat behind a desk as he looked at the constantly changing clouds outside the window, silently awaiting the arrival of evening. At 8, he would board the Star Pirates' flagship, Future, on Dock 6 to head to the furthest eastern front of the Sanya Sea. No matter what happened in the Gargaz archipelago or this region of the sea known as a pirate's playground, they would have nothing to do with him. Therefore, he didn't attempt to hunt the small number of pirates with bounties on their heads that he met while walking in the big and small alleys or bars and casinos. He didn't want to mess up his plans of finding mermaids. My spiritual intuition tells me that Slaughter Kirch from Noon seems to have targeted me. I wouldn't mind if he wishes to send himself to his death. Well, battle strategy can be despised, but battle technique needs to be treated seriously. Without using the Sea God Scepter or Tinder, I'm at best a little stronger than him. I'm at an advantage by being well-rounded and strange enough. Klein half-closed his eyes as he imagined the gathering of countless spherical lights, and he used it to enter cogitation rapidly so as to maintain the acuteness of his spirituality. After an unknown period of time, his spiritual perception was triggered as he opened his eyes immediately. At that moment, the sun had already set in the west. The fiery red colors seemed to burn the sea as long shadows were drawn out through the curtains. The shadows seemed to come alive as they danced about before distorting and standing up to project themselves on the wall. Its pitch-black darkness was like the manifestation of the immense evil at the bottom of a human's heart. Klein watched this scene with a deadpan expression. He raised his left palm high as he slowly extended his fingers. The pitch-black shadow produced a voice that sounded hoarse, as though it held sandcloth in it. While looking at Klein, it said, Jayaman Sparrow. Do not interfere in the matter that happened this afternoon. This is the will of the King of Immortality. With that said, the shadow slid down like flowing water and scattered into the darkness, having its original state restored. Klein didn't pay attention to the shadow's changes. Instead, he cast his gaze outside. He could sense that the person controlling the shadow was somewhere across the street. Hence, he didn't plan on acting upon an incorporeal entity. Indeed, Slaughter Kirches recognized me as the crazy adventurer, Jayaman Sparrow, who loves to hunt pirates. That's why he didn't hesitate to turn around at noon. He might not be afraid of me, but there was another rather powerful adventurer present as well. The power he revealed just now is somewhat similar to the Desire Apostle in Backland. He's more and more likely to be a Beyonder from the Devil Pathway. Heh, using the king of immortality to scare me. Do you think I'll submit just like that? I never intended to involve myself in it. By doing so, I'm actually a little curious. Forget it. Finding the mermaids is of utmost importance as of now. I shouldn't create incidents for myself. Klein retracted his gaze as he lampooned. He was originally wondering if he should report the matter to the Church of the God of Combat in Nuz, but after serious consideration, he discovered that it was likely to be meaningless. The Church of the God of Combat is the only legal religion in the Fasak Empire. The number of high-sequence Beyonders they have is definitely a little higher than the Church of the Evernight Goddess, but just by a little. Even if the demigods of the Fasak royal family and military are added, with the extensive land and numerous colonies it has, making the number of critical areas that require protection crucial, they would definitely be lacking in manpower. The Gargas Archipelago, which is far away from the empire and in a relatively ordinary location, with the only industry being whale fishing, there's no doubt that it's only an afterthought and doesn't have any saints protecting it. According to what Klein had previously learned, the Archbishop of the Gargas Diocese for the Church of the God of Combat was only a Sequence 5 guardian. Together with the tribunal's inquisitor, a baron from the royal family, and a commodore from the military, they formed the highest level of Beyonder combat forces here. Of course, the existence of sealed artifacts had guaranteed the control of the area. Klein suspected that the Church of the God of Combat in Nuz had at least one Grade 1 sealed artifact. Only by doing so could they combine it with their fleets and Beyonders to ensure that the whale oil and gray amber trade industry wouldn't be under the control of pirates and not end up as one of the vassals of one of the four kings. Under any sudden assaults, they were able to use it to last until reinforcements arrived. And it was precisely because of this that the officials in the Gargas archipelago ultimately maintained a defensive state. As long as the pirates didn't cause problems, they were allowed to freely enter and leave. Reporting things wouldn't be of any use. No wonder it's called a pirate's playground. It's no wonder Bilt wants to organize an adventurer association. Klein sighed as he gave up his previous thoughts. After dinner and resting for a while, Klein took out his gold pocket watch and opened it to check the time. Seeing that it was already 7, he held a ritual and summoned himself before responding to himself. He then brought different items into the gray fog while adjusting his inventory. As he was adventuring out at sea on the future, the Murloc cufflink and various sea god domain charms were necessary. Therefore, Klein left Tinder and the sun brooch above the gray fog. With creeping hunger as his main force, he matched it with the biological poison bottle and a revolver which was loaded with different Beyonder bullets. He still had 7 purifying bullets, 13 demon-hunting bullets, and 2 exorcism bullets. Wearing his coat, Klein placed down Azic's whistle, as well as his wallet containing only 50 pounds into his inner pocket. Then, he stored the silver adventurer harmonica and charms together. After doing all of this, he touched the revolver beneath his armpit, polished the blue cufflink at his left wrist, and buttoned his double-breasted frock coat. He wore his half-top hat, picked up his black suitcase, which contained only his change of clothes and some daily necessities, and left the inn for the harbor via a carriage. After waiting for a while at Dock 6, he saw a gigantic sailboat slowly appear from the distance. According to his limited knowledge of boats, Klein knew that a sailboat of such length wasn't scientific. However, this didn't deter it from cruising calmly on the Black Sea surface as it headed for the lighthouse which emitted its light. As the sailboat approached, the flag gradually became clear. The crimson but weak moonlight allowed the people at the harbor to see 10 white stars of the same size as they circled a cold, eyelashless eye on the flag. Admiral of Stars. The future. The pirates and sailors, who were watching over their ships, exclaimed, as every dock in the harbor was filled with stirred emotions. After more than 10 seconds, the defensive cannons on the 2 ends of the mountain nervously adjusted themselves and aimed at the gigantic sailboat which didn't conceal itself. Clang, clang, clang. The distant cathedral produced light and ethereal chimes, signaling that it was 8 o'clock sharp. As the tenseness around the dock became more evident, the future came to a halt. At some point in time, a woman dressed in a black classical robe appeared at the bow. Her clothes were filled with different symbols and magic labels, making her look like a powerful warlock of ancient legends. Under the crimson moonlight, the ground beneath her suddenly lit up. Resplendent starlight scattered down, forming a long, transparent bridge. The long bridge constantly extended forward before landing on Dock 6. An impressive show, as expected of one of the 7 pirate admirals. Furthermore, she's a full admiral, a rank higher than Iceberg and Ailment. Klein sighed as he wished to extend his palm to cover his face. He didn't wish to let others know that the crazy adventurer, J.M. Sparrow, was cooperating with Admiral of Stars Catlia. At this point, I can only maintain my persona. Once I'm done digesting the potion, and by the time I'm back in the northern continent, there wouldn't be J.M. Sparrow anymore. Klein walked out of the shadows as he pressed the half-top hat on his head. He smoothly walked onto the starry bridge. His footsteps were firm as Klein walked with his back straight while being targeted by numerous defensive cannons. Under the gazes with ambiguous meanings, he unhurriedly walked to the docked future. The bridge under his feet was transparent as the dark blue seawater, which was almost black-ebbed beneath him. It would make anyone with acrophobia turn limp. Thankfully, I've long become a clown. I've even jumped off a clock tower. Klein covered the last 10 meters with a cold expression before stepping onto the deck of the future. Faced with the black-eyed Admiral of Stars Catlia, who had purple tint to her eyes, he didn't show any nervousness. He took off his hat and bowed. "Good evening, ma'am."